Canada, the land of politeness, maple syrup, and warriors? Believe it or not, the same country known for peacekeeping and 1,000 saris can switch gears and dominate on the battlefield. From single-handedly liberating towns to leading legendary battles, Canadians don't just fight, they go all in. So, why does this polite, hockey-loving nation turn fierce when it matters most? Buckle up, because we're about to uncover the untold story of Canada's surprising and unstoppable warrior spirit. Let's roll back the clock to World War I, when Canada first made its mark as a formidable force on the world stage. In 1917, at a place called Vimy Ridge, Canadian soldiers faced one of the toughest German defenses in Europe. Other nations had tried and failed to capture this strategic point, but Canada? They took that ridge like a boss. Now, picture it like this. Canada was the quiet kid in class who suddenly steps up in dodgeball and knocks everyone out with a single perfect throw. No one saw it coming. Vimy Ridge was Canada's grand debut in global warfare, like someone shyly stepping up to the mic at karaoke and belting out a flawless Celine Dion song. France was impressed, Britain was proud, and Germany? Well, not so much. It wasn't just about winning one battle, though. The victory at Vimy Ridge set the stage for Canada's future in warfare. Canadian soldiers earned a reputation as elite shock troops, the kind you send in when the going gets tough. The thing is, Canada's war strategy wasn't built on brute force alone. It was a mix of resilience, smarts, and a surprising amount of efficiency. Think of it this way: we'll ask nicely first, but if that doesn't work, we'll send in the Canadians. Canada's role in World War I was pivotal not just for the war effort, but for the country's identity. Before this, Canada was often seen as the junior partner of the British Empire, loyal, polite, and mostly minding its own business. But after battles like Vimy Ridge, people started to take notice. Canada wasn't just bringing maple syrup to the party, they were bringing the lumberjack squad. And this wasn't an isolated incident. Over the course of the war, Canadians became known for their effectiveness and toughness. From the muddy trenches of France to the bloody battlefields of Belgium, Canadian soldiers repeatedly proved their mettle. By the end of World War I, Canada had lost over 60,000 soldiers, a staggering number for a country that was still young by global standards. But through that sacrifice, Canada had cemented its place as a warrior nation. Fast forward to World War II, and Canada was back in the thick of things. By this time, Canadian troops were known for being relentless, efficient, and, let's be honest, kind of scary when they needed to be. One man who embodied that spirit was Leo Major, the Canadian soldier who basically became a one-man army. In 1945, Leo Major single-handedly liberated an entire town in the Netherlands. Yep, you heard that right, one guy. Armed with nothing but a lot of guts and some clever tactics, Leo took out enemy positions, marched right up to the German forces, and bluffed them into thinking he had an entire battalion behind him. The Germans surrendered without realizing they'd been outfoxed by a single soldier. Leo Major's story isn't just a footnote in history, it's a testament to the sheer tenacity and boldness of Canadian soldiers. His bravery earned him legendary status. But more than that, it reinforced the idea that Canada, when pushed, would not back down. Leo's attitude was, "Would you mind leaving?" And the Germans were like, "Yeah, okay, sure." At this point, you might be wondering, isn't Canada more of a peace-loving country? How do they reconcile this history of badassery with their image of politeness and peacekeeping? Well, that's the thing. Canada's warrior spirit isn't just about aggression, it's about defending values that matter. Throughout the 20th century, Canada's involvement in conflicts has often been motivated by a strong sense of justice. Whether it was standing up against tyranny in World War II or supporting international peacekeeping missions, Canadians fight for what they believe is right. They don't go to war just for the sake of it. They go because they believe in the cause. When Canada goes to war, it's usually with a clear sense of purpose, defending human rights, supporting allies, or rebuilding after conflict. After World War II, Canada began to build a new reputation, not as aggressors, but as peacekeepers. From Cyprus to Bosnia, Rwanda, and beyond, Canadian forces have played key roles in peacekeeping missions around the world. Sure, it's not the same as going ballistic in the traditional sense, but it's another form of Canada's resilience and commitment to doing the tough, necessary work. Peacekeeping might seem like the opposite of wartime ferocity, but at its core, it requires the same qualities: determination, resourcefulness, and a refusal to back down when things get hard. Canada's peacekeepers have often been on the front lines in some of the most dangerous places in the world, proving once again that Canadians don't do things halfway when they commit to a cause. And Canada's warrior spirit hasn't faded over time. In the 21st century, Canada played a major role in the NATO-led mission in Afghanistan. Once again, Canadian troops proved themselves to be tough, determined, and incredibly effective. Despite having a relatively small military, Canada punched above its weight, providing crucial support in some of the most dangerous regions of Afghanistan. Canada's commitment wasn't just about sending troops. It was about rebuilding a nation and standing up for the values Canadians hold dear: freedom, equality, and justice. Whether on the battlefield or through humanitarian efforts, Canada showed that it was willing to go all out when the cause was right. Now, here's a theory for you. Maybe, just maybe, Canadians are so good at war because of hockey. Stay with me on this. The national sport isn't just about graceful skating and shooting pucks. Sometimes you've got to drop the gloves and go toe-to-toe with your opponent. That's kind of what happens in war too. Canadians prefer to play nice, but when it's time to defend what matters, they're ready to throw down. Hockey fights might seem like a stretch, but there's something to be said about the toughness that Canadians show on the ice and on the battlefield. Maybe those hockey brawls are just practice for the real thing. After all, whether it's a hockey game or a military operation, Canadians don't mess around when it's time to defend something important. From World War I to World War II to peacekeeping missions and Afghanistan, Canada has consistently punched above its weight in global conflicts. But here's the kicker: it's not about mindless aggression. When Canadians go to war, it's for a reason. They fight with conviction, not just for themselves, but for the values they believe in. So, the next time someone tells you that Canadians are polite, remember that the same people who will apologize for bumping into you in a Tim Hortons line are the ones you want on your side when things go south. What surprised you most about Canada's war history? Or were you just here for the moose plushie in the background? Either way, see you next time.